Well, it's happened. No, that wasn't very good, was it? Well, it's happened. The dystopian future many dreaded is here, thanks to the anti-creative, pencil-pushing, screen-swiping social justice whiner bureaucrats at the tax-funded British Broadcasting Corporation. Yep. Thanks to the BBC, an episode of Fawlty Towers, the series named in 2019 as the greatest British comedy of all time, must be purged from the public eye. Hi everyone, I'm Gardner Goldsmith for MRC-TV. Well, we suspected it would be coming, delivered by the censorious hate mob mentality of postmodernist social justice warriors, and it's here. The BBC's eyeball-blanching website says the Fawlty Towers episode called The Germans must be hidden. Because, evidently, the comedy of co-creator, writer, and star John Cleese is too potent for the victory gin-fueled proles. Yep. Time to flush it down the memory hole until Big Brother, aka Auntie Beeb, decides it's acceptable. A 1975 episode titled The Germans was taken off UK TV's streaming service because it contains racial slurs. Which is the point of the episode, one of the most ingenious of the series. A story seeing desperate main character and innkeeper Basil Fawlty struck on the head, operating at an even more frantically desperate level than his usual high-tension self, and in trying not to insult peaceful German tourists, making a fool of himself in front of them.
Is this a piece of your brain?
It appears that last bit has been lost on the tax gormans at Auntie Beeb, who have removed it from their streaming platform until further notice. And Mr. Cleese has responded in classic style, offering a series of tweets that not only allow people to see his point of view regarding the BBC, but also his overall position on comedy, politics, and the act of demonization. First, he noted this about the BBC. I would have hoped that someone at the BBC would understand that there are two ways of making fun of human behavior. One is to attack it directly. The other is to have someone who is patently a figure of fun speak up on behalf of that behavior. Think of Alf Garnett. The latter being the satirically bigoted main character of the late 60s Britcom Till Death Do Us Part, the series that actually inspired All in the Family, which featured leftist Norman Lear's take on the man he saw as the US equivalent, Archie Bunker. And Cleese continued, "We laughed at Alf's reactionary views. Thus we discredited them by laughing at him. Of course, there were people, very stupid people, who said, 'Thank God someone is saying these things at last.' We laughed at these people too. Now they're taking decisions about BBC comedy." Sadly, on that last point, Mr. Cleese is wrong. It's not the right-wingers who are censoring him, it's the left. The tables have turned. From the 70s, when British conservative Mary Whitehouse led charges against what she saw as scenes too frightening to be shown during Tom Baker's era with producer Philip Hinchcliffe at Doctor Who, specifically a shot from the Robert Holmes-penned classic The Deadly Assassin,
where Doctor Who, the final shot of the episode was Doctor Who drowning. And these sort of images, the final shots of the programme, with the image that was left in the mind of the child, couldn't have extended their awareness, not only to their cameras and all the rest of it, but to the effect of what they were doing upon the children who were receiving it.
To 2020, people have been arguing over what can be broadcast on the tax-funded network. But today, the crusade against unacceptable speech has been adopted by leftists who were sired on the self-defeating grovel of hating hate, or hating that which is portrayed as hate. And they've carried it much farther than Mrs. Whitehouse ever imagined, into real life with real legal action. In fact, the left has been dogging foxes like Mr. Cleese in free speech for some time. No one can deny this. In March of 2018, John Cleese himself noted the absurdity of the Scottish government prosecuting comedian and YouTuber Count Dankula, aka Mark Meechan, for creating a spoof video of his girlfriend's pug saluting Adolf Hitler. 2 years ago, lefty hand-wringers got angry that Mr. Cleese incisively and satirically employed the term poof to describe his deceased gay friend and former Python member Graham Chapman. They didn't seem to notice that he was making a point about people being too hung up about labels and the idiocy of political correctness. They didn't seem to care that he was defending the spot-on point made in July of 2018 by his fellow Python American filmmaker Terry Gilliam, who mocked the infantile nature of identity politics and the destructive, self-proclaimed moralists who peddle it in the media. To wit, Mr. Gilliam trenchantly offered this. Now we need one of this, one of that, everybody represented. This is bull, you know what. And he added, I no longer want to be a white male. I don't want to be blamed for everything wrong in the world. I tell the world now, I'm a black lesbian. My name is Loretta, and I'm a BLT, a black lesbian in transition. He's awesome. And Mr. Gilliam also added, comedy is not assembled. It's not like putting together a boy band where you put together one of this, one of that. Common sense. And this is where we can draw an important lesson. This drab, lifeless, humorless attack on brilliant comedy, this memory holding of faulty towers, doesn't merely reflect the state of comedy or the tawdry, base reductio ad absurdum of so-called social justice warriorism. It's a reflection of the fact that the BBC is a government institution, and as such, it's an example of the danger to us all, the tragedy of the commons. From Mary Whitehouse's termagant, pearl-clutching attacks on Doctor Who to today, the fact that the BBC is a government institution means it's a bald-faced example of the commons, where everyone sees his tax cash snatched by the state and turned into what bureaucrats label entertainment and news. And as a result, the Beeb stoops and grovels and censors and whines and eventually caters to the lowest common denominator so as not to offend anybody. Identity politics is its bread and butter, and collectivism is its means of funding. And sadly, this collectivist mindset has become so pervasive in Britain, many can't even distinguish between what is the state and what is society. Hence, Count Dankula makes a parody video for his girlfriend and the state arrests him. Is it any wonder that John Cleese left the UK in late 2018?
I'm going to buzz off in November because I'm fed up with the corruption in this country, and in particular with just how awful the newspapers are and how the way in which they censor news, make sure that people in England don't know certain things, and particularly anything critical to them.
To live on the Caribbean island of Nevis, openly noting that the people there are friendly and warm and a beautiful polyglot who foster a welcoming social environment. And Mr. Cleese leaves as Britain becomes harder, coarser, and darker because, like a fungus, the mindset of the tragedy of the commons has invaded every nuance of life. It's a tragedy indeed, and it is not funny at all. Well, thank you so much for watching, everybody. Hey, don't forget, if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Hit the little bell to tell you when new videos have appeared. Head over to MRCTV.org, which is right over that way. And if you want some great gear, head over to MRC-Store, which could be over that way or over that way, depending upon where the blocks appear on the video. But please head over, grab some great outfits and awesome swag, and I'll see you in the comments section on YouTube. For MRC TV, I'm Gardner Goldsmith.